If the flood destroyed absolutely everything that breathed on the face of the earth, then answer me this. Why, centuries after the waters receded, do giants still appear in the pages of the Bible? Stop. Think about it for a moment. God sent a devastating judgment. 40 days and 40 nights of water that covered even the highest mountains. All of humanity was wiped out. Only 8 souls survived inside that wooden ark. 8. Just 8. And yet, when Moses sends spies to the promised land, they return trembling with wide eyes, saying, "We saw the giants there, the sons of Anak, descendants of the Nephilim, and we were in our own sight as grasshoppers before them." Wait a moment. How? How is that possible? If the flood came precisely to destroy this contaminated race, this forbidden mixture between what was celestial and what was human, how did they come back to exist? How is it that centuries later, David faced Goliath, a giant almost 3 meters tall, descended from a lineage that logically should have been completely exterminated in the waters? There's something the Bible mentions very briefly, something that almost goes unnoticed among the verses, something that, when you realize it, completely changes the way you read the scriptures. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. Before we continue, if you're new here at Bold Bible Truths, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because what you're about to hear in the next few minutes may be one of the most disturbing truths the Bible hides between the lines, and you won't want to miss what comes next. Take a deep breath, because the story you learned in Sunday school is about to gain a layer that no one told you about. Most people grow up hearing the story of Noah as a children's tale, the ark, the animals entering 2 by 2, the rainbow at the end. Beautiful, simple, done. But the Bible tells a different story. In Genesis chapter 6, before the flood, it is written that the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were beautiful, and they took wives for themselves from all whom they chose. And from this union were born the Nephilim, the fallen ones, the giants, the heroes of antiquity, men of renown. They corrupted everything, human genetics, the spiritual order. The entire creation groaned under the weight of that contamination, and it was largely because of this that God decided to wash the earth with water, to cleanse, to purify, to start over. But here's the problem. Open your Bible to Genesis chapter 6, verse 4. Read slowly, read carefully. There were giants on the earth in those days, and also afterwards. Did you notice? And also afterwards. 3 words. 3 words that change absolutely everything. 3 words that most preachers gloss over without even realizing it. 3 words that traditional theology doesn't quite know how to explain, because if the flood destroyed everything, those 3 words shouldn't exist. But they exist. They are there, written, inspired. And then, as you continue reading the Bible, you begin to see the traces. The Rephaim, the Emim, the Zuzim, the Anakim, Og, king of Bashan, whose iron bed was over 4 meters long. Goliath, the Philistine, and his 4 brothers descended from Rapha, the giant. They are everywhere, after the flood, after the trial, after the end that should have been the end. And that means only one thing, my friend, something that needs to be said carefully because it carries a weight that few are ready to bear. Something survived. Or something came back. And this is where the story gets really disturbing. Because nobody knows for sure. Nobody can say with 100% certainty. But there are theories, ancient theories that scripture scholars have been debating for centuries in silence, away from the public eye. The first theory is perhaps the most unsettling of all. What if the contamination had entered the ark? Think about it. Noah was righteous in his generation. The Bible makes a point of highlighting that. But what about his sons and his sons' wives? Who were those women? What lineage did they come from? The Bible doesn't say. The Bible is silent. And when the Bible is silent about something important, perhaps it's because the answer is too disturbing. Some scholars believe that one of the wives may have carried in her blood traces of that corrupted lineage, something dormant, something hidden, something that would wait generations to manifest itself again. The second theory is even darker. What if there was a new incursion, a second invasion? What if those celestial beings who fell once fell again? What if they crossed the boundary between the spiritual and the material once more? What if they tried again to corrupt what God had begun anew? Because if they did it once, what would stop them from trying again? And the third theory, that's the most chilling one. What if it was never about the body? What if the goal was never just physical? What if that which was behind the Nephilim, that dark intelligence, that ancient rebellion, found other ways to continue its work beyond the waters? I'm not going to give you a definitive answer. I can't. Nobody can. But can I ask you a question? What if all three theories are correct at the same time? And now I need you to pay attention, because from here on out, the conversation changes. From here on out, the story stops being about the distant past and starts talking about you, about today, about the world outside your window. Jesus said something that should make each of us stop and tremble. As it was in the days of Noah, so it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. As it was in the days of Noah. So what exactly was it like in Noah's day? The Bible describes those days as a time of unprecedented violence, of total corruption, of spiritual confusion, of broken borders, of moral aberrations, of a world where the sacred had been trampled and the profane had taken the place of the altar. Look around you. Look at what's happening. Violence. You turn on the news and see things that would have been unthinkable 20 years ago. Moral corruption. What was once called sin is now celebrated in parades. Spiritual distortion. People seeking spiritual guides, crystals, entities, connections with what they call light, but which carries the smell of sulfur. Gender confusion, identity confusion, confusion about what is human and what is no longer. Scientists openly discussing mixing DNA, creating hybrids, erasing the boundaries God established in creation. Have you ever stopped to think about that? Because if Jesus said it would be like in the days of Noah, and in the days of Noah there was corruption involving fallen beings mixing what should never be mixed, then what exactly is happening now, right under our noses while most people sleep? If this thought is bothering you, if you're feeling that tightness in your chest right now, leave a comment below with the word awakened. And if this video is touching you, leave a like, because that helps more people open their eyes to the truth. Come back with me, because what comes next is even deeper. I want you to close your eyes for a second, not literally, but internally. I want you to think about something. Have you ever felt, at some point in your life, a sense of oppression that had no explanation? That night when you couldn't sleep and it felt like something was watching you from the corner of the room. That intrusive thought that popped into your head out of nowhere, a dark thought, so strange and so repulsive that you didn't even recognize it as your own. That feeling of spiritual heaviness when you try to pray, when you try to open the Bible, when you try to draw closer to God. Where does it leave from? Why do so many people today suffer from anxiety without cause? Why are so many young people tormented inside, even though they have everything on the outside? Why has depression spread like a global plague? Why are people losing faith, losing peace, losing themselves? Is it just chemical? Is it just psychological? Or is there something more? The ancients knew. The ancients understood that the most dangerous battle was never fought with swords and spears. The ancients knew that forces exist. Forces that do not sleep. Forces that did not perish in the waters of the flood. Forces that have merely changed tactics. Centuries later, Paul wrote a phrase that few take seriously today. We do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places. He wasn't being poetic, he was warning you. What if that voice in your head that tells you you're worthless isn't yours? What if that thought that pulls you towards error, addiction, destruction is coming from outside? What if the war you wage every day in your mind isn't a war with yourself, but with something that has been watching you for a long time? The battle was never just physical. Perhaps it was never really physical. And this is where things get even deeper, because I want to ask you a question that perhaps no one has ever asked you like this before, in this way. What if the goal from the beginning was never to destroy humanity? What if the goal was always to corrupt her? Think about it for a moment. If the enemy of your soul only wanted to kill, he would have already done so. But killing is easy. Killing ends the story. Killing gives the final victory to the dead, because the dead rest. But to corrupt is different. To corrupt is to keep the shell while stealing the contents. It is to leave man standing, but empty. It is to keep woman walking, but without a soul. It is to keep humanity breathing, but without the image of God within. It is to preserve the temple, but install another god inside it. The Nephilim in the beginning were an attempt to do this genetically, to corrupt the human lineage until there was no one pure left, until God could not find a single Noah, until the promise of the Messiah no longer had a biological path to be fulfilled. But God thwarted that plan with the flood. And now I ask you, if the old plan was to contaminate the meat, what's the new plan? Look at what is happening. Look at how easily people are surrendering their minds, their identities, their souls. Look at how subtly the sacred is being exchanged for the blasphemous. Look at how children are being targeted, how marriage is being disfigured, how the family is being dissolved, how truth is being called a lie, and lies are being applauded as truth. This is not an accident. This is no coincidence. This is not cultural evolution. This is a strategy, an old one, patient, silent. And it's working. Because while the church sleeps, while believers argue over petty things, while the world is distracted by screens and noise, something is being built beneath the surface. Something that began long before you were born. Something that wasn't buried by the floodwaters. Something that simply changed shape. So allow me to conclude with a reflection, not with an answer, because I don't have all the answers. Nobody does. But I am certain of one thing. The flood did not end the war. He simply changed her form. The waters receded, the ark landed, the rainbow appeared in the sky, and it seemed that everything was over. It seemed that evil had been washed away. It seemed that humanity could breathe in peace. But the scriptures tell us clearly that the giants have returned, somehow, somewhere, by some way that the Bible doesn't fully explain. And where there are giants to be faced. The David of today needs to be ready, because your Goliath might not come in bronze armor. Maybe it will come through your phone screen, through the thoughts that try to invade your mind, through the culture that tries to mold your heart, through the voices that whisper that God is no longer watching, but God is watching. He always was. And just as he preserved Noah, just as he preserved Abraham in the midst of a land full of giants, just as he preserved David before the Philistine giant, he preserves those who remain pure, those who remain vigilant, those who keep praying, those who refuse to sleep while the enemy works in silence. If this video touched you, if it awakened something within you, leave a comment telling us what you felt. Leave a like, because this is more than just a video. This is a call to action. And the more people who see this message, the more souls can be awakened in time. And it doesn't stop there. There's another video playing on your screen right now. And it's no coincidence that you're watching it. It picks up exactly where this one left off. It reveals things you need to know. Click on it. Watch it until the end. Because what's at stake is too big for you to disconnect from right now. This is from the Bold Bible Truths channel. And always remember, the flood is over, the war is not. See you in the next video.